And just when you least expect it, the CDC says, surprise, and wow. The guidelines that have been released by the CDC for their new voluntary COVID-19 cruise ship program are astounding. We now know why these guidelines are more than 3 weeks delayed, and that's because there's a ton of them. They have entirely reworked the conditional sell order and released something brand new with new guidelines, but the number of them has surprised everyone this morning. Let's talk about these new guidelines and whether or not we think cruise lines will opt into this voluntary program. Let's talk about all the cruise news right now on Island Time. A big happy Thursday to all you Islanders. Welcome back to Island Time. I am your host, Derek, and I'm thankful that we get to spend some time today in the islands together, even if it's talking about this crazy new voluntary program that the CDC has packaged up and finally delivered to you and me and cruise lines alike. I'm excited though. 2 weeks from today, I'll be boarding the beautiful Carnival Breeze. I can't wait to take you with me. Make sure you are subscribed, you've rang the bell for notifications so that as we upload content and as we go live on board the Carnival Breeze, that you'll be able to see it, log on, watch it, interact. I cannot wait. Let's get to this cruise news. We've been waiting for over 3 weeks for the CDC to come out with this voluntary program. There was even a question of will this ever come out? Or did the CDC trust cruise lines enough to monitor themselves? But the details are out. Let's first hear from a representative from the CDC, and they have this to say about the new COVID-19 cruise ship program that's voluntary. Here we go. The CDC is committed to continuing to work with the cruise industry. We do hope that cruise lines choose to follow this program because it does represent the best public health measures to help prevent illness on board and COVID transmission as well as severe outcomes. How about this? This program is totally new. If you were familiar with the conditional sell order and you thought maybe that would just be renewed, this is something completely different. We now know why it's taken them so long to write this, and there really is a question of whether or not cruise lines will opt into this program or opt out of this program. Yes, that's right. It's a voluntary program, and cruise lines have until February the 18th to let the CDC know whether or not they want to opt in and go by the program or opt out. We will have the scenarios of what happens with each of those in today's show. Let's get to the details. The most controversial thing I think of the entire new voluntary program is this: anyone testing positive on board is not to be retested necessarily to see if that was a false positive. You heard that right. If you test positive on board and you say, hey, I feel okay, I feel all right, can I have another test? Cruise lines are not obliged to give you another test. They can take that one solitary test that you took and say, hey, your cruise is done. You need to isolate. Under this new program, cruise ships can operate in 3 different classes. This is new. This was not in the conditional sell order. This is new. Cruise lines have to pick which class that each particular cruise ship in the fleet will operate under. Here are the classes. This one is new. Not highly vaccinated. Ships make up the bottom tier in which less than 95% of passengers and crew have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. You heard that right. There are cases. If cruise line operators want to operate cruise ships under a 95% threshold, like we've seen since the cruise restart, cruise lines can do that. that is the not highly vaccinated ship. Isolation periods on this ship: if you are exposed to someone with COVID-19, close contacts must quarantine for 10 days. The next class, number 2, is highly vaccinated. These are ships who have at least 95% of passengers vaccinated against COVID-19, and this is without booster shots. The CDC has made that clear. This group of cruise ships is what we're used to. This is really what has been operating for the most part since the cruise restart in late June of 2021. Those are highly vaccinated cruise ships. They will continue if cruise lines want to put ships in that category. And then there's a new category. This is new as well. Vaccination Standard of Excellence. Cruise lines can choose to run their cruise ships in this new category, Vaccination Standard of Excellence, which is the highest category possible, with 95% of passengers and crew fully vaccinated against COVID-19, and it includes booster shots. So those guests who are qualified, who meet the time criteria to get their booster shot, they have received their booster shot. That's right. The CDC has added this category of cruise ships that are only for people who have received that booster shot if they are so qualified. What's different about this new category is that the isolation period of someone, if you're exposed, goes down. On Vaccination Standard of Excellence ships, close contacts to someone who has been exposed with someone with COVID-19 must quarantine for 5 full days, not the 10 days, as you will see in the other 2 classes of these categories. So it's interesting. There's 3 new levels of categories. The CDC will also still have a color-coded chart ship by ship, although that color coding criteria is going to change a little bit. You will be able to log on and to see what color your cruise ship is. By the way, cruise lines hate this. They hate that chart. They hate for people to be able to log on and see what color their cruise ship is, but that is going to remain in place if cruise lines opt in to this program. If they opt out of the program, then their cruise ships will be gray. They will remain gray all the time because the CDC will not monitor those ships. Currently, 103 ships fall into this highly vaccinated category that we've talked about. It's going to be interesting to see for cruise lines who voluntarily join this new program, if they will continue running under this highly vaccinated category, or if some cruise ships will drop and they could operate cruises with less than 95% of people vaccinated. By the way, the CDC did not reference a number of how low can you go. Can you do cruises with 75% vaccinated, 60%? It's not detailed at all. Or will they bump it up? And will some cruise lines require that booster to sail in that highest category? It's interesting to see. The CDC will still monitor ships that don't opt into the program. They made this very clear to cruise lines. If you don't want to be a part of the program, that's your choice. It's voluntary. But we are still regulating you. We are still monitoring you. Cruise ships can choose the healthy sail option, or they can choose to kind of do their own thing. But it's very important to keep in mind that ships will still be under CDC's regulatory authority. That is what was shared with cruise ships when this news was shared late yesterday afternoon. The CDC reserves the right to issue a no-sail order for a particular individual ship if they think that they need to, if they have concerns about what's happening on board. If there's an outbreak on board and they're not sure of the mitigation efforts, they can issue a no-sail warning for a particular ship. They made this clear to cruise lines late yesterday afternoon. According to the CDC's website, cruise lines have until February the 18th, 8 days, to opt in to the program or opt out of the program. So far, 20 cruise ships, the CDC says, has opted into this program. That number of 20 is likely from Norwegian Cruise Line and their verbal commitment to be part of this program before these details were released. Nothing is official with Norwegian. They could opt out, but the CDC has kind of already counted them in. That's going to be interesting to see as well. Cruise ships that opt into the program will be allowed to opt out at a later date by emailing the CDC's Maritime Unit for instructions. Lines that opt out but then want to join back need to do so within 28 days of leaving. That was a big question that we have. If you opted in and you wanted to leave, can you leave? That answer is yes. The CDC says that they're going to have these voluntary guidelines in place for the cruise industry, and they're going to reassess them on March the 18th of 2022. So even these guidelines can and will change as we get into the spring. I mean, March 18th is not very long. So it could be that that the program looks like this for a period of time and then changes drastically. Those are the summary details of this new program, although there is a lot more. Be sure to check out the CDC website. I want to know, you guys, you cruise often. You spend your hard-earned money cruising often. Some of you have cruised for so many years. You've seen different things aboard cruise ships and in reality of what's going on at home versus abroad. What do you think? Do you think cruise lines opt in to this program? Do you think they see what's happened the last almost 2 years and now what's before them with this and they opt into it? Or do you think cruise lines, honestly, they've had this attitude for a while, especially in late 2020, early 2021, when the no-sell order was issued, and they were fighting, saying, please give us a chance, let us cruise, we will prove ourselves. And dadgummit, cruise lines did prove themselves in the second half of 2021. They stood up and proved we can sail safely. Do they opt out because of that? Do they opt out and say, we've got this, Mr. and Miss CDC, you can come aboard our cruise ships anytime. You can give us advice if you'd like. We will reach out for consulting, but we're going to do this on our own. What do you think will happen with cruise lines? Let us know in the comment section below. I cannot wait to see your comments on this. There will be people from both sides. I can already tell you that. If you liked the content today, all you have to do to tell us is give us a like. Give us a thumbs up just below, and that will make sure that this video is in front of other people who are looking for cruise news. Islanders, this is it. We've waited for it, and here it is. Let us know your thoughts below, and we will keep you posted on all the news stories today and tomorrow right here on Island Time.